welcome back. And if you're new here, then welcome to my channel. Okay, guys, so in today's video, we're going to talk about just a deep and open conversation with me and my daughter, like, all honesty. Yesterday, we were watching Christmas movies, and you know how I was telling y'all on my last video, the Christmas movies are really heavy, like, oh my God, like, what? And my daughter ended up asking me, she was like, Mommy, like, are you thinking about dating again? And I'm like, no, like, not yet. Like, for right now, I'm just going to date myself because that's safe. That makes me feel safe. And she ended up saying, can I say something? And I was like, sure. Like, you can always tell me anything and be honest with me. And she was like, well, I'm kind of scared for you to date again. And I was like, okay, you know, like looking at her like, okay, keep going. And she was like, because like, I feel like all of the people that you've ever been in a relationship with, it just seemed like they hurt you and they didn't treat you right. And so like, I told her that that was the perfect topic for my video today because I had literally prayed yesterday for God to give me a topic or put something in my heart for me to talk about, because as I said, yesterday was like a really emotional day for me, and or I might not have said it, y'all never know with me, but yesterday was like very emotional for me. Why? I don't know, like I just could not get myself together. But Mondays are always really bad for me and like crazy days. So I mean, maybe it could have just been the fact that it was just a Monday or something like that. But y'all, I could not get myself together, and I just prayed all day yesterday. And as you see me today, like I'm really good because I'm prayed up today. Probably what I needed to be yesterday, period. But yeah. And so I feel like God just put that question that my daughter asked me on my heart, because after we talked, she was like, well, Mommy, why do you think you keep getting in relationships with these people that just keep like being mean to you or not treating you right? And for me, that question blew my mind because I have thought about it before. And there's been times when I sat down and was like, dang, like, why me? Like, why did I go through this? Like, I'm a good person. I have a big heart. I'm beautiful. Like, why me? But I didn't sit with it so long because I'm not really the type of person to sit in self-pity, like, or stuff that happened. Like, now don't get me wrong, sometimes I dwell on stuff, yeah, but when it's stuff like that, like, I try not to, you know, get so much in my head because I already overthink and I don't want to make myself start thinking anything that might not even be true. Like, I would never have those answers unless I had a conversation with those people, which I don't plan on doing. So when my daughter asked me that, we kind of like talked a little bit more, and I have her here with me. I told her I was going to let her say a little bit of more things like on the camera or whatever, but I told her like I was going to get into this question because woo, that made me self-reflect. So I took a bunch of notes in my I took a bunch of, look at me y'all, I'm all over the place. But I took a bunch of notes in my notes, and you know, in the phone, y'all. But I because I prayed on it, like I could not sleep last night because I was just thinking about it, and I was just like, dang, like, you know, like for my daughter to ask me that, like anybody that know me know my daughter plays a very important part of my life. So when she comes to me about anything, whether that may be her feelings or something that I'm doing or anything, like it hits me because like all I ever want to be is a good mom to her, and you know, make her happy and make sure I'm doing things that, you know, are good examples for her, because I know how much she studied me and watched me. And so last night I stayed up all night because I wanted that answer to that question to get to her. So yeah, I decided I'm just going to do it into the video. I prayed on it. And last night, y'all, I went to bed at probably like, maybe like 3:30 in the morning, because that's how long I was up doing self-reflection. Like, I wrote the question down, and then it's just like after I prayed, so much was coming to my head about it, like, and it all led back to my childhood. So I feel like when my daughter asked me that question, all I could think about at the time was, well, all of those people are my type. And people always say, well, your type is why you get hurt. But I thought about the similarities to all the people that I've ever dated and like the patterns. And they were all good people, everybody is good, like however they are good, but they just weren't my people. And I was like, the one thing that they all were, toxic. And I had to think about where that could have came from. And sometimes when we get older, we don't want to revisit childhood. We don't want to revisit the things that caused us a lot of pain. But sometimes when, our dating lives or just us in general, when things aren't working out, like when we get older, sometimes we have to take a step back and we have to revisit why we may be doing those things, or why those things might be, occurring, or, what's the pattern, like where does this come from? And one thing that I have been learning is you have to get down to the root. And oh my God, everybody know how much getting down to the root is so emotional and it's so painful, because you have to revisit stuff that cause you pain, things that you feel like you got away from that you never have to go back to, but it's just stuff that we have to revisit sometimes. So my daughter's question ended up causing me to have to revisit my childhood. And when I thought back on everything, I thought that all three of my relationships, my, partners, they all was a reflection of my childhood, like what I seen, what I saw. Sometimes I feel like we normalize like the things that we see, or we, because it's all we know, and we make that our life. And sometimes it's not intentional, because with me, I don't feel like it was intentional, y'all. Like, I feel like I did everything to run away from, what I seen when I was growing up and when I was a child. Like, all I seen was people that said they love each other being toxic to each other, like cussing each other out every other day, but the next day saying they love each other, fighting, hurting each other. Like, I seen people that said they love you hurting you. So I feel like I normalized that in my life, and it's not that I wanted to, but that's what it became. And that came from my childhood. I feel like when it came to these people and these relationships, I cannot, just point fingers at them and blame them. Like I told my daughter last night, what did I say? I said, all I can do is say I'm sorry for the situations that I put us in, the relationships that I tried to have, right? Because I said, like from the jump, I didn't know that they would take the turns they took, but I mean, it happened, and all I could do was apologize about it, because like I told her, like, I never wanted you to see things like that. If anything, I wanted you to be able to have two present parents in your life, whether the other one was blood or not, because I never wanted to, replace her dad, because she have a dad already, but he's just never around, and she don't have him present in her life. And I was once that little girl, and I know how if somebody was there for me, whether they have been, blood or not, that would have helped me, because I would have had a man there or another person there showing me that I was worthy of having two parents in my life. So when I told her, when I got in some of these relationships and I dated, I didn't just think about me, even if that's what it felt like to you, I apologize, but I wasn't just getting in these relationships thinking about me. I was always thinking about, okay, like, is this person good with kids? Like, are they going to be able to, stand in that spot of being like a great step parent to my daughter. Like I always thought about those things, and sometimes it caused me to stay in relationships longer because I really wanted that for her. I wanted her to feel just as lucky as any other kid. Like I got two parents because I know what it felt like to only have one. So that was one of the reasons I told her. Another reason was what I just told y'all. It was a reflection of, you know, my mom's relationships, kind of, and family members like aunties and uncles. Like it was just something I saw. And even when me and my little brother, like we'll get on the phone, you know, every once in a while, and we'll talk. He'll call me and he'll be like, hey, you know, I need to talk to you about something to see if I was wrong or not, or to see like what I should do. And it varies, just like with me. And we always come to each other saying, dang, I know how you feel, because that's how my relationships are. And the common denominator is because we shared the same childhood with the same mom and the same uncles and aunts. So we seen the same thing. And so it's what we normalize in our head to be normal. And like our everyday lives and relationships, like, and you know, we don't know what real love look like, or the proper way of being in a relationship looks like. We are only functioning based off of what we saw. And yeah, now that we are getting older and we're learning and we're gaining more, you know, wisdom, we tell each other, we be like, you know, okay, that went right, so maybe you should, you know, leave that person alone, or maybe you should, you know, try to talk to that person and let them know about this or about that. But every time, y'all, when we talk, it's even something me and him have in common. Like it's not even just me. And I was telling my daughter that I don't know, those bad relationships and bad choices of dating came from what I seen when I was growing up. It's like, it's almost like sometimes you'll make really bad decisions, or the same decision, knowing that it's not the right decision because that's all you've seen. Like that's what you know. That's just like right now, if somebody that came from having a family that just show each other love and be there for each other, stick up for each other, support each other, they would not know what it's like, or they will be able to recognize when, you know, kind of the difference between if they weren't receiving that, because that's all they know. If that makes sense. And I hope it was a perfect example, but y'all, who knows? And so, yeah, I had to open up my notes because I made notes to, you know, make sure I cover everything. But I was kind of telling my daughter, like, I was just going to date myself for a while and focus on her and me, and just like stay on this journey that I am with self-love, and even the journey that I'm on with God. Even though I grew up in the church, like, I know sometimes when we get grown, like, our lives can get busy, and sometimes we forget things. We forget to pray as much as we used to pray, or we forget to talk to him as much as we used to talk to him before. We forget sometimes. So I'm on a journey getting closer with him, and just taking a closer look in my life on things and just trying to figure it out. But I'm starting with us this time. Like, I'm not just going to jump into something else or just throw myself back out there in the water, because it's things that I need to handle first and take care of. So like I was telling her, you know, like, what caused me to leave that relationship is because I had to break generational curses for her. Because now that I see that sometimes us as parents can, you know, normalize stuff for our kids, that's not something I would ever want to be normal to her, you know? Like, I want her to be able to experience happiness and peace and, you know, all of the good things that life has to give, not stuff like that. I don't want her to think it's okay for somebody to talk to you any kind of way or treat you like you're not valued, because you deserve those things. Like, so I had to leave that relationship, you know, to break what I seen, because if that's what I saw and it rubbed off on me, I would not want that to rub off on her. And yeah, it's like I told her, it's tricky being a single mom And for me, because I was a mom, way earlier than I expected to be, and that caused me to be growing up with my daughter. So as she's learning, I'm learning. And I was telling her it can be so tricky because I had a kid at a very young age, and now I am playing the role of both mom and dad. I'm trying to figure it out so that you can have a better life than the one I had. I'm trying to figure it out so you won't ever have to look back and say, my childhood was like this, my childhood was like that. But you would say, when I was 9 years old, my mom made a decision for me, and it got better ever since. And that's how I want it to be for her. But like, even if it causes us to leave the things behind that we love the most, or the things behind that we want more than anything, we have to do that. Because sometimes as a mom, you have to choose you and your children. And I had to learn, y'all, I want to say, in this season of my life, I am learning when you choose yourself, you are always going to be the villain in somebody's story, and you have to be okay with that, because those people either aren't mature enough to see why you left them and chose yourself, or to understand things from your perspective, to even know, okay, I see the way she see it, this and that. So you have to be okay with that, because as long as you know, you can never lose from choosing yourself. What else did I talk about? Let me see. Oh my God, yeah. So y'all, I want to say this was one day last week. Y'all, no, the week before last. I broke down so bad, and it was something about that breakdown to me. It was like no other. It felt like, I felt something in my stomach, but it was not sitting right with me. Like, it wasn't sitting well with me. And I didn't know what it was, but when I sat with myself and I actually sat down, it was the younger version of me, that little girl in there that had big hopes and dreams that things would work out, thought life would turn out differently for her than what it did. And it was her that was disappointed and sad, and just, y'all, that day I had to make a decision to grab that little girl's hand and be there for her, to help heal the things that hurt us when I was small, and even the things now in my adult life, to heal it. I had to grab her hand to be the one person to finally show up for her and fight for her and show her that, she is worthy of being fought for, and that everybody won't leave. And I had to give myself and that little girl the love that we always needed and wanted. And yeah, when I tell y'all, that came from, oh my God, like deep within. But sometimes our truth ain't pretty, but it's our truth. And that's something that I'm getting to say now. Like, some of the reasons why I feel like I chose the partners I chose is because something about the way they were so toxic. Like, not that I wanted them to be toxic, because that's never intentional for me. I'm not attracted to that at all. But it was something about the way that they were hurting me, but showing back up for me. So it's almost like they made me feel like I was enough for them to fight for me and fight to be in my life. Like, it's like, even though they didn't treat me right, they were still fighting to be there. And I know that might sound crazy, but it's my ugly truth. But I had to get older and go through stuff. Like, my last relationship had to teach me that, I didn't want those things anymore. And I recently heard my pastor say, sometimes God will follow us, even when we're going the wrong direction. And I feel like that's what happened to me. I've been going in the wrong direction for a while now. Even though I've still been doing some things right, I've been going in the wrong direction for a while now. But because I was still praying to God and following him, he knew the things that I was praying about, and he knew the things that I desired and I wanted more than anything. So he followed me even while I was going in the wrong direction for, things that I thought I wanted, until, like I said, my last relationship taught me that I didn't. He just knew eventually I would get on the right track, even if he had to nudge me a little bit. So, like I was saying, my last relationship, that person taught me a lot. They taught me to love myself more, for one. They taught me to break generational curses, because if I didn't, they say 3 times is enough, and that was enough for me. So yeah, I realized that that person lacked so many things that I needed in my life, and I made it okay. Like, I used to accept the smallest things from this person just because that's how much I wanted that person there, even while they were lacking everything that I wanted and I needed. And I don't know, it felt like, sometimes I felt like I overlooked so many things that didn't sit right with me, or didn't go against my beliefs, or things that I wanted in my life. And I don't know, that alone, just overlooking those things, made me feel like the smallest person in the world. Like, I felt like a piece of dirt on the floor, like that small. And it made me, start to lose myself. And it just ripped away at my self-esteem. Like, sometimes I couldn't even look at myself, and I couldn't even look at my daughter, because I was just like, oh my God, like, this is my life. Why is this my life? And yeah, it took me to wake up one day and for a big blow up to happen, all for me to say enough is enough. I'm walking away. I'm choosing me. And that's why I said, when you choose you, you are always going to be the villain in somebody's story. And you have to be okay with that. Because I didn't just walk away, like some people do, to go to another person. I didn't just walk away because that person wasn't enough for me. I walked away for me because I realized that that person was not my best interest at heart, and they were no longer serving me. Like, they were hurting me more than they were helping me. And I couldn't, like, feel that small anymore. Like, it's like, after that big blow up happened, it never sat right with me. Like, I just sat, and my mind just, I don't know, y'all. It was kind of like blow, but I had so much on my mind. Like, I felt like I was going crazy. Like, I couldn't really, like, focus. It was just, that's how much my mind was clouded. And I thought about how I kept settling for less, how I kept overlooking things that didn't sit right with me and would never. I thought about how I allowed so many things in my life that would never be okay. I thought about how I was giving, and wasn't receiving anything in return. How I was overextending myself just to be a good partner, because that's what I saw as a kid with my mom. I saw her working hard all the time to make a way for herself and her kids. I saw her work multiple jobs to keep the bills paid. Even while men were there, I saw her take us to appointments by herself without the help of our dads. I saw her take us with our friends and, just take care of me and my little brother. She would do that all by herself without the help of a man. And sometimes I remember she would go to work busting her butt all day, and the people that she would be dating would just be sitting at home, not doing too much, like not doing everything that they could do, but either watching us or watching TV or just being able to sit down and relax while she's really out there busting her butt. So I thought back on how that's where that came from, why I did that for people. But I did it and made it okay until it just wasn't anymore, where I realized that staying in relationships that caused me to do everything by myself, burn myself out and always be exhausted, and just accept the bare minimum from people, like the little things that they were willing to give me when they wanted to give it to me, and be so inconsistent with it. I thought about all those things, and I don't know, I thought about how allowing those things to happen and making the things that this person lacked that I truly need okay, it was causing me to be put on the back burner, and it was causing me to lose sight of who I am and lose myself. It was causing me not to be happy because I was not happy with those things. I was never happy with them when I seen them when I was little, and I knew that I wasn't going to be happy with them when I experienced them, even though I made them okay until I couldn't no more. But yes, y'all, it's just, oh my god, it's so much reflection that I've had to do. Like, oh my god, it's just so much. But I'm just scrolling through my notes trying to find so one of the problems that I realized I had in these relationships was, no matter how many times a person showed me exactly who they were, my heart so big, I was always going to try to see the good in them. I was always still going to try to overdo everything. I was always still going to try to show up and be there, because that's where I was telling my daughter, another reason why I can't just put the blame on other people, because I stopped myself from leaving sometimes when I could have, because it was something I experienced so much as a little girl. I just felt like people didn't fight that hard to be and stay in my life. So that's something that I guess I wanted to do for other people, fight and show them that they were worthy of me staying in their lives, even though they had flaws and wasn't perfect. I just wanted to be there, but it's ways that I can do that and not get hurt from it, So I had to realize the differences with that. I really did. Like, that was just the truth. Said that. You can share some stuff with them, Harmony, while I'm looking for something else.
So, yeah, I remember when my mom was writing her Bible one day, I told her, well, she was writing to God, you guys know, like from the church, because, my mom was always writing to God. And then and then she started scribbling the words because, she messed up because everything can't be perfect. So I told her, everything don't gotta be perfect. And then like 3 days later, I think, or that Monday or that Thursday, I had saw her Bible, and she corrected the words, but she didn't just, because you guys know, when you mess up, you crumble the paper up and want it to be perfect. That's what she did. But instead, she kept it and she corrected it. So I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of her for that. And
that was really sweet, Harmony. And y'all, that is something that she's teaching me. Like, not being in a relationship, I realized the one thing that I wanted more than anything was to receive love. And even after I make mistakes, even after sometimes I'm not my best self, because I'm not perfect. So when I do make mistakes and I'm not my best self, I still receive the love. And that's something my daughter always give me. So the one thing that I always wanted, God said, Tamira, I gave you that though. I never said what I was going to give it to you with, as far as if that was going to be a partner, your friends, or your kid, but I gave it to you. You have to take a step back and realize that. And I have. And even when I mess it up, y'all, like she was just saying, I don't know. It's just, if stuff ain't perfect to me, I go crazy. But I'm a Virgo. Can you blame me? And so I'm working on that. And my daughter also taught me that And so it's so many things that she's teaching me, because I used to think when I was in these relationships, I had to be so perfect and do everything right and show up and overdo it, thinking that these people was going to love me more, or being a wife to people that was just boyfriends and stuff like that, that I knew I wasn't probably not going to get far with, but just, that's just me. But oh my God, y'all, I just couldn't. I guess for so long, I set the mindset to be okay with putting myself on the back burner if my partner and my kid was happy. Like, if they were both happy, I was okay with being put on the back burner, even though every day I went out of my way to go the extra mile, make them happy, do sweet little things, and give. But I realized I deserve those things too. I deserve for somebody to go out the way for me too. I deserve, I deserve that stuff. I deserve for somebody to put me first. So even when I'm putting myself last, you are teaching me to do that through your love. And it just, I don't know.
Yeah, y'all. So y'all can make mistakes because I remember on my first day of school, the bus never came. But that wasn't our fault. That wasn't our fault. But I remember I had accidentally stepped in a water puddle because it was raining. And like one thing about my mama, she don't ever want to mess up her clothes.
No.
And I'm like, well, some people just like to jump in.
Don't put me out like that. Basically, y'all, she telling me to stop trying to make everything so perfect and just to take a step back and enjoy the mess, because sometimes it's a lot of messes, but sometimes in those messes and as she used those puddles, you find the most beautiful things. And that takes me back to where I'm at now. I am living more in the moment. I am willing to accept the mess, because sometimes I can be a mess. Like, y'all, I am so emotional and so sensitive. So sometimes I can be a mess. I can be a wreck, but it is okay. I don't have to smile all the time. I don't have to have, laughter all the time. As long as it's for a brief moment and I sit there and I allow myself not to make myself feel like I'm perfect, same way I do for my friends and, my family and things like that, I can do that for myself. And that takes me back to where I am now. I'm done settling, and I am done allowing things that I don't deserve and don't appreciate. I'm just at the age where I just want to be safe. I want to feel safe, and I want to be so careful with what my daughter normalized, like what she make normal, what she think is okay, how she deserved to be treated, how she deserved to be looked at. So in this journey of loving myself and picking myself up, I am picking my baby girl up, because you're gonna know how you deserve to be treated. When you look in the mirror, you gonna think you the baddest thing on this earth. And sure, there's some other pretty girls out here, but you gonna know that. I want you to know that. I want you to know that you don't chase a man. A man chase you. I heard this Bible story the other day, and I cannot remember their names. But if y'all know what I'm talking about, y'all gonna know the two people I'm talking about in the Bible. It was about a guy. He. Okay, let me give y'all the rundown. So the girl and both her stepmom, they both were widows, and the girl was just focusing on herself or whatever. Like, she hey, why can't I think of her name? Oh, I hate this. I hate doing this, but not being perfect, Mary. It is okay. It's all right. So just keep going. Tell the Bible story. So they were both widows, and she could have, left her mother-in-law, where she was went back to where she was from and remarried, but because she served as a woman of God, and she made herself what was it that she did? Basically, like, she acted as caring, and she cared about like other people and stuff like that, like her mother-in-law. She stayed and she helped out, and she just tried to live within loving herself and figuring out who she was and serving God. And so this guy, I think his name was Jacob. It was it Jacob or Adam? I don't know. It's one of those. Well, I'm gonna come back and let y'all know who I'm talking about. He wanted to marry her, so he went to the father. And you know, back in those times, the oldest child or the oldest daughter had to be married first because they were the oldest. But he like, I want to marry the younger daughter. Like, she's beautiful. Like, I like what I see. This and that. Y'all, the dad made him a promise that if he worked for him and served 7 years of working with him, he would give him his younger daughter. Y'all, after this man served 7 years, the father tricked him. He ended up handing him the older daughter instead, because he's like, in these times you have to marry, the oldest daughter have to be married off before the, second daughter could. And y'all, it's crazy as that was, and so mean, because why would you do that? Why would you trick him? He worked 7 years like it was 7 days. And y'all, I imagine that when he seen her, like he said, she was beautiful. 7 years later, all for you to get tricked, the father told him, well, I tell you what, you work 7 more years just so that she's married first. You work 7 more years for me, and I'll hand you my daughter. Y'all, after what the father did to him, he went and worked 7 more years, like a total of 14 years, y'all. Like, this was just 14 days. Y'all, it was something about that gave me chills. The way when somebody really wants something, or when somebody really wants you, they do what they gotta do, and they serve to earn you and have you. And y'all, it was just so romantic. Like, I'm telling you, pick up them Bibles and read them. Now, I'm gonna be real, y'all. When I'm reading can't remember which one that is. I don't be understanding. So I be like, I go to this other Bible that got it all translated for me, and it's more understanding for me. And y'all, oh my God, pick up the Bible. Like, the Bible has everything we need. And the one thing that I'm learning today is that the word is everything. Like, it covers love, it covers marriage, it covers women of the Bible, men of the Bible, some of the toughest things that people's done, and or situations they've been in, and how God got them out of it. Like, y'all, I'm telling you, the Bible is a powerful book, and it took me a long time to get to the point where I wanted to read it, because I'm gonna just be open and honest, like, it was kind of boring. But God, I'm sorry, I love you, but y'all, it was. But I guess sometimes I find like videos that's telling me about a certain part of the Bible that I want to know about, or sometimes I just go and read it, or I look it up, like what the scripture mean, and I'll say, okay, like, this is this. But y'all, yeah, now that was messed up. I was in here trying to close out the video, and the camera went dead on me. I didn't charge it, y'all. I'm sorry. Like, I'm so sorry. But I forgot, like, y'all, so much be going on in my head. Like, I don't be able to remember everything. But like I was saying when I was getting ready to close it out, I was saying that sometimes life throws curveballs at us or whatever, and sometimes it throw, like, stuff at us that come by easy, and that's easier for us. But either way, like, it's life lessons, and it's things we have to go through in order to become the people that we are destined to be, to live in our purpose. So yeah, I made this video, y'all, and it was to answer my daughter's question, because it blew my mind, and I be so excited to share everything with y'all. But ladies, please, ladies, choose you every time. Choose yourself. Do not sit and settle for less, or don't sit and wait around thinking that a person is going to change after they have shown you, several times who they are. Believe them. Believe them, because it don't get better. So believe them. And like I said before, when you choose yourself, you are always going to be somebody's villain. But it's okay. Everybody is not going to understand things from our point of view or where we're coming from. Some people are only able to see it from how they see it, and that's fine. That's them. But yeah, choose yourself. Live in your purpose, girl. Serve God, be beautiful, and girl, God will do the rest. Okay? I said, live in your purpose, do the things that make you happy, and you can't lose from doing that. Serve God, and trust me, God is going to do the rest. One thing that I had to stop being so hard on myself with lately is tell myself that I was a good woman and I did the best that I could, even though I chose all of the wrong people. But a good woman is always a good woman, okay? We just get better from here. So you do that and you're gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. And I hope that this video reached anybody else who may be going through what I just went through, or who may really just be trying to figure out why they are allowing things that seem like patterns, or things that they know they don't like, or that don't sit with them deep down inside. Y'all just take the time to dig into that childhood. I know it hurt, because it hurt me, but dig into that childhood. The truth ain't never pretty, but it's your truth, and that's what makes it beautiful. I hope that this video reached whoever it needed to, and I love you guys. Until next time. Yeah.